guys, I'm back. The newest installment of Project Big Ben, take 2. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm still struggling. I'm really disappointed about having dropped the US Open. There were a lot of big goals I wanted to hit, but hey, you got to move on, you got to adapt, you got to adjust, you got to overcome, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to clarify, I'm not done with powerlifting. I still plan on doing the tribute, assuming I can stay healthy. There will be more meets in my future, and record breakers, right? So there's stuff on the horizon, but I need to put on some weight. I need to put on some muscle. I need to get stronger, and so that's what we're going to do. And from now on, I'm going to document Project Big Ben a lot more closely. I'm going to be working with my 2 coaches, all right? So Justin Harris on nutrition and supplements, and Mike Tuschcherer on training program. So if you guys know Mike T, he's the guy behind Reactive Training Systems, really popularized the rated perceived exertion scale, which I have, raised some issues that I have with it before, just as from my personal standpoint. Not as a training tool, but it's difficult for me to use. But, I think Mike is a brilliant coach. I respect him enormously, and I think that some of his emerging strategies that he's talked about on his own content is very applicable to bodybuilding. So we're going to give that a shot, and I'll be documenting that as well and doing some collaboration with Mike. I think it's going to be really, really awesome, so I hope you all stay tuned. I do want to talk a little bit today about how my training will change in a broad sense. We're not going to get into details here, but I want to give you guys some training footage and some examples so that you can see some of the differences between training for powerlifting, training for bodybuilding, and how I'm trying to combine these two, hopefully with a lot of success. So let's get into it. So the thing to remember when you're training for hypertrophy is that to get a bigger muscle, you have to strengthen the muscle and not the movement. Now in powerlifting, you just have to strengthen the movement. There's a lot of ways to do that. You can refine your technique, you can strengthen your muscles, you can optimize your central nervous system, you can train using different methods. There's a million different ways that you can strengthen a movement. To strengthen a muscle, you have to really work that muscle. You have to make sure that that muscle is under a loaded stretch on the eccentric portion of the lift, and it's contracting as hard as you can on the concentric portion. That's really not that easy. That's one thing that you have to do. The other thing that you have to do is make sure that you're not just training to build that contractile muscle tissue size. All right, so roughly a third of your muscles are made out of actual contractile muscle fiber. The rest is other shit, right? It's water, it's intracellular fluids, it's whatever. And 70% is obviously a lot. And research has shown that to improve on those things, you really need to use a lot of volume and you need to train very close to maximal intensity. Now, when you try to combine those, you end up with problems because if you're training with a lot of volume and you're training with maximal intensity, and by intensity, I'm sorry, I mean effort. I should have said effort, not intensity. When you're combining those two on heavy lifting, you're really risking injury, right? That's really risky. And that's why I'm implementing a lot of Mike T's strategies. You're not seeing those in those videos, okay? We haven't started yet. What you are seeing is that I'm taking very short rest periods. I'm using higher rep schemes. I'm really focusing on using my muscles. So let's take these deadlifts, for example. When I'm doing these, when I'm setting up, instead of pulling my lats down towards my hip pockets, I'm trying to flare my lats to really build that width. And you can see it in how much more internally rotated my shoulders are. That's going to bring out that lat width, but it's also going to limit your potential to strengthen the movement. That's very, very important. That's what we want for bodybuilding. It's not what we want for powerlifting. In addition, obviously, accessories become much, much more important because they're an easy way to build up that volume without risking injury. Also, without exhausting yourself so much that you can't recover without taking grams and grams of steroids. Okay? So those two things are extremely important. I obviously should not have gone for that rep, but y'all know, I mean, it's me. Let's be real. Let's look at these squats. This is a much better example. you can see how when I'm going down into the hole, I'm really trying to emphasize that eccentric portion on my quads. I'm really focusing on the quads. That's why I'm moving so slow, whereas I still move up just as quickly as I would normally, okay? That's also because I'm babying my knees because they're fucked to high heaven right now, but that's a different story. So that's one thing that you have to focus on, right? Making sure that you're strengthening the movement and not, or strengthening the muscle and not the movement. The other thing is dramatically increasing your volume and make sure that you're pushing to the point where, you know, you're pretty fucking tired. And I'm really excited to get into how Mike's program is going to kind of combine those two, because I think it's, honestly, I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's other things you can do as well to help emphasize those muscles using the safety bar, right? That's going to keep me more upright. It's going to shift emphasis to my quads away from the other muscles that are very important in squatting max weight, but not maybe as important in looking good on stage, like that lower back, right? Which I rely on very heavily. Same thing with these RDLs. Now I'm using the bands here just to help me emphasize the correct bar path, which needs to be straight up and down, but I'm really trying to emphasize those hamstrings and glutes and take my lower back out of it, take my lats out of it, all that good stuff, okay? So again, can be really tricky. We're going to get into more details as time goes by, but if you have one goal, right? Your goal is solely hypertrophy or solely strength. You're going to have to train differently than if you're going for both size and strength. And we'll get into some tricky ways, some new cool ways you can combine this. I think that wraps it up for today. Please do continue to post some PED questions below. Please do check out the new power building program linked below. And please let me know also if you have any additional questions for Justin or Mike, you know, when I get a chance to bring them on, which hopefully is going to be this week or next week. Okay? So lots of cool stuff coming. I hope y'all are pumped. I hope you guys stay tuned.